Um, God dang it. Testing, 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 testing. Testing, 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 testing,
Hey,
testing.
man,
Hey, how do I sound?
you sound a little muffled.
Okay, I'm just going by literally the circle here. Our circles are about as big, so I think I'm good. If you're good, or we can, or we're both too quiet, which is a distinct possibility. Yeah, that's probably it actually.
How about now?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like it's always going to sound decent in my headphones, but I'm just who knows. You never
Right.
know. I think the last one turned out well. We all had similar levels. I think it worked out.
Yeah, I didn't actually go back and listen to it. So, but
Is that supposed to be a patrons?
it
No.
will be released to the public eventually.
Okay. I think eventually,
Um,
even if it's a long time, we should even release the patrons stuff. Maybe like even if it's patrons only, like at the end of the year, dump it.
oh yeah, just give. I don't know, give it a little bit and then dump it, or wait till we do another one and dump them both at the same time.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. I mean, we're doing another one, so like maybe when we dump around the time we dump this one to the patrons, we dump that one to the public.
Right.
So, what did you want to talk about this time? I mean, obviously, it was
So I've
Epstein.
I've got. We're gonna do. What I'm thinking is we do like 45 minutes to an hour public
Okay.
about Epstein and Trump.
Okay.
And then I want to talk about like, I don't know how to describe it, like, um, built a patrons episode about sort of investing in things that benefit you as a way to combat inflation and also a
Okay.
potential investment opportunity.
I love
Both,
talking about
I would say
business.
about like 45 minutes.
Yes. Okay. I love talking about markets, inflation, all that shit. That's just what I fucking want to talk about. That's great. Awesome. Okay.
So I
See,
figure once we're done
inflation.
with the Epstein thing, we pause for a moment of silence. We actually end it. We do the outro or whatever.
Yes.
Pause for a
Yes. I'm
minute,
thinking the same
silence,
thing.
and then bam, you can just split it in two.
Yeah, that'll be easiest for me because I'll be able to see the silence on the
Right.
screen.
That's what I'm thinking.
All right. And yeah, release those separately. Obviously, I mean, I'm not going to like splice it from one version and then release it. So I'll figure it out. We'll figure out how we want to number things.
Oh, hey, what's up with the audiobook we're still sitting on? What do you got to do
Uh,
with that to release it?
I don't really have the time right now. I'll look into maybe each Thursday doing a chapter. It's just
I mean, I
weird
don't even
because
know if you got to edit them at all.
okay, I mean, if I
I
don't have
don't know.
that's the thing. Like, if I realistically, if I don't have to edit them, then okay. But I always feel like the urge to like actually edit them.
Just, I would say go through
So
and needle
sorry.
drop them and see how they sound. You know what
Okay.
I mean? Just a quick needle drop throughout and if they sound good enough, then just fucking send them.
Yeah, and that's totally not what I'm doing. I'm actually listening to the entire thing, and then I'll edit like one or two tiny things, maybe. Uh, I from what I recall, maybe there'd be some more. I don't know. There'd be like a few things, but not much. And like, how many things are you going to edit, but actual like noises and stuff like that? I mean, if somebody stutters, you stutter. What are you going to do?
Right.
All right, yeah. Maybe we'll do it that way. It requires me to do a lot less.
Just make
Spend a
sure
lot
the
less time.
audio is, the recording is not complete shit. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah,
send it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
and then we can always go back and like revise it. It's always
Right.
possible.
If we feel like
Whatever.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Probably wouldn't have been sent to me if someone made a mistake. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, cut out this part right here or something," So
Yeah. I think Erica did it and she's pretty good. So I don't know.
Yeah, she hardly made any mistakes. Like there was very little editing, and I still felt the need to listen to the whole thing. So yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do it then. I don't want to keep
Uh,
you up too late. I know you live a totally different lifestyle than me. So, um, although to be fair, well, let's just start the episode. We'll talk about it.
uh,
All right, let's get ready to go. 3, 2, 1. Hey, folks, welcome back to the Agora Podcast. It's another episode with me, Penguin, and with Sek Magora. Sek, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Tired and old and overworked, man. How about you?
Yeah, same. I mean, as a consolation to keeping you up so late, I am coming straight from work, and it was incredibly distressing and humid, or not just depressing and humid as always at my stupid, crazy sales job.
Yeah, it's been humid as balls here. I worked around the farm all day today, and then like right before we started recording, I took like 3 sips of energy drink, and I'm hoping that's enough to keep my brain functioning to record this podcast, but not enough to keep me up all night. So I hope
Yeah,
I struck that balance.
I cracked
Um,
one. I just cracked one. I had to do it. I always like to be sipping on something during one of these, and luckily I plan on staying up late. I mean, I don't have to go until later tomorrow to Sunday Fun Day at the on the sales floor.
yeah, I mean, I'm up early every day. So I'm usually up at like 4:30, 5 o'clock every single day. And if I don't get up at that time, my kid's gonna get up at like 5:36 and wake me up for sure.
That's so
So
incredibly great.
yeah,
I wish I could.
so,
I wish I did that. I wish I could do that. That's what I'm supposed. That time I'm supposed to be up to pray anyway. I mean, at least this time of year, and I'm sure that can change. Seasonally too. But it's the time right before, like an hour before the sun fully rises, which is a great time to be up anyway. To be honest with you, but I am supposed to be up anyway. I'll just put it that way.
I do like being up at that time. I don't really leave for work for until like 5:30, quarter to 6, but I like to get up at like 4:30, so I have like an hour to sit and drink my coffee on the porch, and it's fucking quiet and nice, and I chill. Takes me a second for my brain to get moving in the morning.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Well,
But
anyways, let's get on with
yeah.
today's topics.
So
We have a pretty timely one, I guess.
yeah, we're talking about Epstein, and listen, everybody's talking about Epstein, and this is not going to be an exhaustive uh episode on Epstein, or the history of Epstein. That would take, I mean, 47 hours.
We also didn't do any preparation except just being constantly bombarded by the topic nonstop for the past
Right. I mean,
30 days.
I could probably do it off the dome with no preparation. I've been on Epstein since, like, I don't know, mid to late 2000s, like 2010 maybe at the latest. So I've been
Yeah,
on Epstein since then, dude. So I could probably do it off the dome, but we're not doing that here. Honestly, it's everywhere. I mean, if you want like a long series on all about Epstein, it's out there. I mean, go, Google Derek Bros on Epstein, Whitney Webb on Epstein, um, God damn it, Daryl Cooper on Epstein. He's got a good series. Ryan
yeah,
Dawson.
he made it. Oh, I've heard about Dawson. Some mentioned on Twitter today. Daryl Cooper made it already. I know. I heard he was either
Yeah,
making
he's got
or
like a three.
made.
No, it's been out for a while. He's got a 3 or 4 episode series on Epstein that's really good. Um, Bros has a number of episodes on Epstein as well. Whitney Webb's, obviously, she's got a whole book on him, and so I mean, this an exhaustive, um, series about Epstein. It's been done. It's out there. We don't need to do that here.
Yeah,
However, there's a few things that it's in the news, and there's a lot of people talking about it. And there's a few things that I think a lot of other people are missing. And
yes.
the
I think
thing that
that's good. I just want to interrupt to say, it's not like I'm going to listen to any of those probably, because I mean, honestly, I need to listen to a lot of Daryl Cooper, but another topic. Like I Yeah, it's another topic for another day. But I don't really get too involved. I'm not too interested in the Epstein story as a topic. For one thing, because I've picked up so much of it, honestly, over the years. But I am very interested in it as a meta topic, if you know what I'm saying. Like I think we're kind of discussing it as the meta topic. Like what's the relevant? What's the discourse? What's the relevance? What's the bigger picture?
And sure, and what's really going on here with Trump, I think, is the other thing. That and what's going like okay, here just let me start ranting and you'll see what I mean. So, all right, so let's go back a ways actually. Back in the day, Davi Barker, I don't know if anybody's familiar with him anymore, but Davi Barker
I
wrote
aware of
this
him.
paper. He's the Muslim agorist back in the day. Anyway, he wrote this paper. It's called Ron Paul and the Lucifer Effect. And the Lucifer Effect is a book by Philip Lombardo. I might be confusing him with Dave Lombardo. I think it's Philip Lombardo. Anyway, he was involved in the Stanford prison experiments, and he wrote a book about how and what Davi wrote was like basically even if Ron Paul got in, it would just corrupt him too. And I wouldn't. He's like I like Ron Paul. I wouldn't want to see that happen to him. You know what I mean? Like, um, so I I'm gonna go over some things with Trump, and I'll tell you what I believe, and then I'll tell you what I think other possibilities potentially are. So for me, Trump to me is
Has
Obama
Donald
for
Trump been corrupted?
right. Look, sure. That's
No.
so. Here's the thing. So, like to me, I don't believe that. I don't think I don't. You know me. I don't believe he was ever like an outsider. I think what Donald Trump was is like Obama for the right. And I don't know if I heard this term somewhere or if I coined this myself, but he's like a pressure release valve. All right, so like during Bush, the Democrats and the left were fucking pissed. They were ready to burn shit down. They wanted people to hang for
Absolutely.
for torturing people, for going to illegal wars, all this kind of stuff. They wanted people like in jail, dead. And so what happens is they bring in Obama, who's against all this stuff, right? And then and Pelosi comes in, and they're gonna try Bush and Cheney for torturing people for war crimes. And they come in and they don't actually do any of that stuff, and they continue all the things, but all the pressure has been released, right? It calms the left down. You heard the left go just quiet during the Obama years, right? And then the right, justifiably so, starts getting, and some leftists as well, start getting pissed about Obama. So then they bring in Trump to just bring down the pressure and the temperature again on the other side. And I think, and I'm not even saying this is like a grand conspiracy or anything like that. That's just kind of like the incentives are there to bring in a guy that will just sort of calm down a specific demographic of the population. So I think that's what Trump is. That now, let's say
I mean,
that
that's part of it. But I mean, first of all, you have to look at it initially. Like that's what the market is obviously not a market economy, but that's what the market, so to speak, demands anyway. So obviously that to rise into the top, let's say, primary election and stuff. And yes, with the support of, maybe with the surreptitious support of this or that effect, or maybe, the support of people in the party. I totally get it. I mean, it's totally natural effect. You totally expect that to happen. And very
right,
much, I mean, very much in the same way of the aftermath of like, so you have both George W. Bush, the foreign policy guy, and you have the double whammy, which was the financial crisis and the bailouts and all of that stuff. And then, yeah, I mean, it absolutely makes sense that there was genuine like grassroots support and market demand, so to speak, for Obama to rise naturally. You don't really need to have a a plan to trust. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, well, it's just that people are going to throw their money behind this person or that person. You know what I mean?
True.
Um, so, all right, for the purposes of this conversation, I think everybody just, you're going to have to accept my conclusion that Epstein was working with intelligence and he was running an intelligence operation. Now, if you don't think that already, I I implore you to literally go listen to any one of the series that, or read Whitney Webb's book, One Nation Under Blackmail, or go through any of these series that I mentioned before. I don't have time to prove that case to you here. But there is significant evidence, not total proof, but there's significant evidence to that would lead you to believe that he was working with intelligence. Now, I don't think he was like people say he was Mossad, and this is one of the things that I hear a lot that I need to correct people. And actually, this is the first time I've heard him say it, but Daryl Cooper just mentioned this on some interview, and he's like, he might not have been like actually like a Mossad agent or a CIA agent. He was probably more of a freelancer, and that's actually my opinion on it. He was a kind of like one of these guys that he probably did a work for a lot of intelligence agencies like Mossad, MI5, MI6, CIA,
Okay, and I think
etc.
actually in intelligence parlance, I mean, I think what you're saying is would he be a Mossad? I think in intelligence parlance, the term is officer. Like you're a CIA officer, or you're
Yeah,
CIA,
he's not an
or even
no, no,
operative.
no.
But he would be an agent technically in the intelligence parlance. He would be an agent if he's
He
actually. I think he would
probably
actually
more
count
an
as an
asset,
agent.
more of an
Yeah,
asset.
but
Yeah,
I think in intelligence parlance they would call that an agent. I think what people
yes,
often think of as CIA agent is really CIA officer, which is a
yes.
guy with an actual position as like a sworn, that I am a officer of the Foreign Intelligence Service of the United States. But actually, if I remember from reading Tom Clancy books, I think that the word agent actually would work in intelligence parlance, but not in the common usage.
I would say that he is not. Let me put it to you this way: like he's not with one specific intelligence agency.
That makes a lot
Does
of
that make
sense.
sense?
He's a big player, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's like he's a freelancer is the best way to put it. He's a fixer for a lot of different intelligence agencies. Like during during the secret war in Cambodia, the CIA was running ops and funneling money through like Lockheed Martin factories in Cambodia or in Vietnam as well. Some other place in Asia also, I can't remember. But they did that for the CIA, but they've done similar things for MI5. They've done similar things for Israeli intelligence. You get what I'm saying? So it's not like Lockheed Martin works for the CIA as an asset or an agent. They are happy to do that for any any Western intelligence agency that's going to make them money. Does that make sense? So I think Jeffrey Epstein was something similar to that. Anyway, so let's say that you've all known my thoughts about Trump. I think he's the more I see, the more I think he's the goddamn antichrist. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that he was what everybody says he is. That he
I'm not impressed enough by Trump to think that.
okay. Let just for the sake, just for follow my logic. Let's say he was an outsider and he was going to go in there and destroy that was his plan. He wanted to go in and destroy the deep state and all these sorts of things and whatever the thing. I think even libertarians who like fell for this have like a naivete about the state. You're talking about people who will kill your children they don't have morals regarding that sort of thing. Like, this is why I know I can never be involved in any kind of revolutionary activity as like a point man or anything like that. My role will always be something more of support or building infrastructure. Because I have children and they will threaten my children, and there's nothing like, it's my greatest strength and also my greatest weakness. Like, I understand that there's nothing I wouldn't do for my children, and they would threaten my children if it came to that. These people have no problem vaporizing hundreds of thousands of children. So if you really had somebody that was going to get in there and actually was going to fundamentally change something, all they have to do is like send Donald Trump a picture of a rifle scope, or his grandchildren through a rifle scope, or say, hey, your daughter's on this plane at this time, we can make it drop out of the sky. You're talking about people who will do whatever it takes. They don't value human life like we do. Like, it's hard for us, even as libertarians and anarchists, to understand this, to wrap our heads around this. They do not value your life. They don't value any human life except for maybe their own. So even if Donald Trump, let's say Donald Trump went in there, and was trying to really change things or something like that, and now you see this sort of like 180 that he's been doing in these past few years, it might mean that he's always been, in on it, which is what I actually think. But it's also the case, like, they probably, I mean, if he was that, they would have just threatened his children, and that's another reason you would probably see a 180 right now, or threaten his life or whatever the thing. I don't think he's prepared to, like, even if he was that guy, I don't think he's prepared to die for it, and I don't think he's prepared to lose his children's or his grandchildren's lives for it either. You know what I mean? So that's step
Yeah,
one.
I think just for the record, I want you to keep going. I don't have anything too much to add information wise at this stage, but I mean, my take on Donald Trump is I think he's the real estate guy that everybody knew from the 80s and 90s and onwards, but I think mainly was relevant in the 80s and 90s that he just wanted to do the populist thing and run for the president as the populist guy, like the common sense. I mean, to be honest with you, I guess in terms of like the electoral political system, getting out of our like a little ideology world in the electoral political system. I mean, I mean, the analysis that I've seen really is that he brought the Republican Party from basically the brink of irrelevancy for being just a minor rump party of like white people supporting increasingly unpopular, like conservative, pro market, pro war, conservative views, sort of like Bush, but pro market business. It's a pro Wall Street. I mean, post financial crisis and pro war, post Iraq, where that just isn't going to fly, and banning abortion isn't going to carry that over with any significant number of the population that's electorally viable. Blah 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 blah. We don't need to get into electoral politics here, but Donald Trump really breathed new life into a Republican Party that was, and I mean this was the like I remember back before I was ever really looking into these further topics or ideology, where yeah, it seemed like the Republican Party was on the brink of just irrelevancy, and Donald Trump sort of, I mean, somebody had to come along and change that party to basically be about other things. Because, I mean, which is funny because I'm nominally like very pro market and I'm nominally this, that, and the other. Yes, that's maybe we should shrink the deficit or whatever. But like the Republican Party, the establishment Republican Party in practice, yeah, that just wasn't going to fly after Obama. And it's a two-party system, so something is going to have to come along. But anyways, long story short, Donald Trump, probably the guy with this like hasn't been president, probably beyond former presidents, has the most name recognition in America, and like probably billions of dollars. That's somewhat disputed, or had billions of dollars, which was somewhat disputed. Kind of not too far fetched that the guy actually did the thing and ran for president, which people always say, well, maybe I'll just run for president. Well, if anyone's going to do it, he's probably was uniquely poised. So it's not a far fetched idea. Whether somebody can go in there and be an outsider and change things that certain interest groups don't want changed, it's very likely that it's not a real feasible outcome. But do I think that it made sense that Donald Trump, the real estate guy, that has been name dropped in like 500 rap songs and it's been on every news channel and it's just a fixture of our culture for like 30 years, happens to be, it has billions of dollars, uniquely poised to run for president? I think it's a pretty, it's not the most far-fetched, as weird as it's all been. It's been a wild ride, but not the most far-fetched thing in the world.
Right. So I'm just trying to be as charitable to Trump, and I agree with all of what you just said, but I don't think there was ever a chance, like even if he was that guy, that it was possible for him to actually change anything or release any kind of documents that other people didn't want released. Uh,
Practically zero.
right, it's near zero. So
I mean, it's like a president, like a king, is not exactly the freest guy in the world in reality. I mean, actually, a very constrained person,
yes,
ironically.
by a lot of other aristocrats and bankers, and it's the same now. So that's one potential scenario that you're seeing all over the news right now, is that they've threatened him. Like that was who he was, and now they've threatened him, and he's towing the line. Another scenario, and I've heard in a lot of recent interviews, including friend of the show and one of my favorite people on foreign policy, Scott Horton. He's like,
Woo.
he's like, I don't see this guy as a pedophile. Like he's trying to figure out why Trump's doing a 180 on the Epstein stuff, right? And here's the thing, man. Okay, so I'm not going to go over an exhaustive thing on the relationship of Jeffrey Epstein and Trump, but here's a couple of things. He was best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 15 years. He made a lot of creepy comments about Jeffrey Epstein, but let's say that Scott Horton and a few other people are right, that he's not a pedophile. Like I said before, what I think Jeffrey Epstein was a fixer. Now, he was a pedophile, and he did run a like underage prostitution ring. That is absolutely true. But I've heard like endless interviews with CIA officers and agents, and they talk about the way they gain access, or excuse me, the way they gain assets is through leverage. And the way they gain leverage is by finding out what that person wants and providing it for them. So this could be money. This could be a medical treatment for one of their family members. This could be hookers. This could be power. This could be contracts, whatever the thing. So it looked like, yes, Jeffrey Epstein was running like an underage sex ring or whatever the thing, but he was also doing a lot of money laundering and funneling money to different people from other people. He probably provided like above age hookers as well. You know what I mean? If that's what you wanted. There's also the obvious situation of like he provided, girls at a party or whatever, and then some guy sleeps with somebody who, you think she's 19, and then Jeffrey tells you the next day, oh, actually that girl is only 16 or whatever the thing, but don't worry, I'll make sure the tapes never see anybody, that sort of thing. So he provided just whatever it is that you wanted. So it is possible that there's something now. Trump is 100% in the Jeffrey Epstein files. Now, that's not saying he did anything illegal, but he literally had like FBI interviews about Jeffrey Epstein like 10 years ago or whatever it was, 15 years ago now. So he's in the files, like for sure. But whether there's something like illegal that is in there about him, I don't know. But there might be something in there that is not necessarily pedophilia, but it could be something like, I don't know. It seemed like, Epstein was also a money launderer. So maybe he did, cooked Trump's books at one time, hid some of his money, or maybe, like you said, they were banging hookers together at one time, and like turns out one of them was 17. Like there could be a number of things that don't actually equal like straight up pedophilia.
Yeah,
so
let's kind of clarify real quick. When you say the Epstein files, these are files that are known. That these have been out. Information about Epstein has been out for a long time. This is why there's a plethora of people that have documented these things, discussed these things, written books in some cases, or at least a book. So when we're talking about the Epstein files, as opposed to this weird discourse going on now. I mean, I don't know how weird it is, but this discourse going on now, especially on social media and different podcasts and whatnot, on the right wing, where it's like release the Epstein list. I mean, the Epstein files have been out there. You never know if everything's been out there. That's kind of how it, conspiracies and stuff and intelligence work. I mean, that's the very nature of it. But I mean, the Epstein files, which is a loose term, obviously, kind of an informal term for catch all for all this documentation about Epstein. I mean, this has been something that's obviously people have had access to, information that people have had access to for a long time.
Right. So there's probably all sorts of information in those files. You know what I mean? Like picture, like let's take Epstein out of the thing, and let's say it's an FBI investigation into the mob. There's going to be all kinds of information. This guy met with this guy at this time. They went for a sandwich over fucking here. You know what I mean? Like they dropped some money over here. There's going to be all kinds of information. Not all of it is incriminating. You know what I mean? And so that's probably what if I had to guess, including like what's out there and what could still be yet to be released. There's probably all sorts of information in there. And Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for like 15 years. So Trump is in there. And we know Trump gave several interviews to the FBI about Epstein. So he's definitely like mentioned in the files. That doesn't necessarily mean he's incriminated in anything or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point to talk about. Like, this is the thing that bugs me about the Epstein thing is people really, really, really want to focus on he's a pedophile. He's a pedophile. There's a global pedophile ring. There's pedophile cabal. Like satanic pedophiles rule us. That this, and that, and the other. I'm like,
he was that, but that seems to be a small fraction of what he actually was doing. He was running an intelligence op.
Yeah, so and that's the only thing I care about.
He did all sorts of things. You know what I mean?
I mean, obviously that being part of it, but it's the only thing I care about. The big story isn't that there's a satanic pedophile cabal ruling. I mean, which is almost just taken for granted now by anybody who gives a damn about this. But the story is his intelligence, and right. I don't think like there's you hear about the people being excoriated for saying, look, Trump wants us to stop talking about this and focus on our elements to deport illegal immigration. We need to focus on the message, guys. And obviously that's a minority. You see a large number of people that have risen, that have their careers focused on or owe their careers to like the Trump movement, like saying, no, we're not going to stop talking about Epstein. Epstein's something we've been waiting for. This is promised by the campaign, blah 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 blah. Not really too important to me. I could actually go on about that situation with specifically releasing the list or the so-called list. But
there is no list, by the way.
There's no list. Yes, there's no list.
It's not. That's like shorthand for like whatever associates the FBI or the DOJ is compiled. There's it's not like evidence, if Epstein was running like criminal organization or intelligence, it's not like he kept a ledger. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't exist.
Over many years, and but unless somebody compiled a list, I mean, that's I think what the idea is somebody. We'll get into that. That's kind of the part of the meta discussion, like the meta narrative about about the Trump campaign playing off of this whole thing. But I mean, damn, I kind of lost my former train of thought before we said. But yeah, that's really important. But yeah, the only thing that matters to me about this is not that there's like pedophiles running the government. I mean, there's an aspect of like underage trafficking, straddling the age. It doesn't. I mean, trafficking is sort of a term that doesn't just cover specific ages. You don't have to be underage to be trafficked. But I mean,
to be clear, he's like providing underage prostitutes is what.
And he has billions of dollars, and it's not 100% clear. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this because you've probably looked into some of the more media produced about this, but it's not really clear exactly how he got so wealthy or like his. Nope. It's kind of, from my understanding, it's atypical. Like his rise, this what he did, the speed of his rise, and the way he gained his wealth, and obviously, there's something unusual about that. I haven't obviously looked at the sources myself and consumed a lot of media on this, but it seems like it's not very clear how the guy became a multi-billionaire working in finance or what exactly he did, from what I understand. I mean, the fact that he was also trafficking girls, that seems to be like the downstream of, like, he had billions of dollars in a private island with a weird temple on it. It's altogether pretty
It
creepy.
so
And there's there's Ghislaine Maxwell.
it's the most sensational aspect of it, and it's the most disgusting and the most abhorrent of it.
It's
But it's like
prurient, is what it is.
it's a small fraction of what he was actually doing. Do you know what I'm
People
saying?
obsess over it because they obsess over this prurient stuff. But I
Well,
mean, there's
because
a larger
it's
story here.
offensive. You know what I mean? Especially
Yeah.
as like a father of two little girls, it's offensive. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's the scariest part, I guess we'll say. You know what I mean?
I
It's like,
guess, but it's also like, it also is like the most, that part of it gets focused on at the expense of the entire story. You know what I mean?
that's true.
And
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's juicy and it's prurient. It's juicy and tabloidy. Yes, it's actually disgusting when you think about it, but that people just go on and on and on about it in this kind of, it's kind of disgusting how much people treat this like just a prurient, like I don't know, man. People just focus on these things in this tabloidy kind of way, especially when it has this kind of disgusting aspect to it.
Well, Epstein
Um,
is like the perfect Bond villain. Like he's literally a Bond villain. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's
which is
like,
so much worse than, I don't know, so
yeah.
much worse than, oh, this guy had I mean, I don't know, how did he, where did he get an island? How many people do you know have an island? And actually go on and clarify, like, what do we know about how he obtained these
So
things?
they don't know how he earned his money. A lot of his money came from Les Wexner, who was owned a bunch of brands and was owned, including Victoria's Secret, and that's where they got a lot of the girls from, by the way. But he was also and again, I don't want to get into like a long, detailed thing on the ins and outs of all this because there's a few things I just want to stick to. But a lot of his money came from Les Wexner, who was like a multi-billionaire. He was also a member of the Mega Group, which was a a group of Jewish philanthropists who funneled money to Israeli causes.
Uh-oh.
They actually funded all that right of return stuff and all that kind of stuff. So that's who Les Wexner was, and that's where a lot of like he signed power of attorney of over in all of his assets to Jeffrey Epstein. That's fucking weird. Okay, and there's released documents from the national that have been from national security that have been declassified that said that mention that they like overheard they what do you call it, they found communication between Israeli intelligence officials or whatever or agents talking about, hey, do we want to use mega on this to influence this politician, and they were trying to get this Israeli spy out of prison. Do we want to use mega on this or whatever? So it was obviously there's connections to Israeli intelligence and Jeffrey. So there's a million pieces of evidence that connect Jeffrey Epstein to intelligence. And if you look at the whole thing as a whole, it looks like an intelligence operation. But you're right, the pedo stuff, it's fucking disgusting. But and I mean, they should hang the guy for or whatever. But it's really like he was doing a lot of things and it was an intelligence op and it seemed like he was funneling money, tech, and scientific stuff to intelligence agencies for like slush funds and black budgets and stuff like that. That's what it seemed like the primary um, operation was about. The underage prostitution was like a much smaller part of it. It's fucking crazy if you really start going into it. It just gets weirder and weirder and weirder and more suspicious the more you read into it. But either way, let's go back to like, why is Trump doing a 180 and seems like he's covering up for this? Well, I gave you two potential options. One of the most obvious option is he's guilty of something disgusting. And there's a lot of people, even in our circles, who are very familiar with the Epstein thing that say, man, I really just don't see the guy as a pedophile. And maybe he is, maybe he's not. Like, I don't know. Um, the more this goes on, the guiltier he looks. And I don't know if he'd be this maybe if he'd be flailing this much, if it was just like he cheated on his wife with hookers with Jeffrey Epstein or something,
No.
like, or like Epstein was cooking his books 20 years ago or something, like
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities besides the one thing that everybody kind of just zeroes in
right.
on.
There's a lot of
And
possibilities, but I
like you
don't
said
know if
earlier,
he'd be going this hard. And now he has made some really weird comments. Like he made a lot of weird comments about his daughter, and he made a lot of
okay,
weird comments. Like he made it like he was going on about how hot she was, and she was like 12, and how like how much people would want to date her. And then there's some weird pictures of him like sitting her on his lap, and she's got a scared like a weird look on her face. You know what I mean? Like almost scared or like very sad, which alone doesn't prove anything, right? But and then he like was involved with like the Miss Teen USA pageant or something like that, and he was making a lot of weird comments about walking around in their locker room. So none of this is proof of anything, but I'm just saying like it's not out of the realm of the possibility that this dude also likes him young. Do you know what I'm saying? And maybe he's not going after like fucking toddlers or whatever, but I could see this guy he's a creepy dude, man. You know what I mean? Like he just is. He's always been like a philanderer or whatever you want to call it, and a womanizer. And it wouldn't surprise me if he's like, oh, look at that, 15-year-old or whatever the thing. It wouldn't surprise me. You know what I mean?
my gut says probably not. I definitely see it. I don't know. I definitely see it more likely with someone like what's his name? Dumbass. Man, who's the guy they always Prince Andrew or what's the other one? Dershowitz. That creep
Dershowitz,
and a half.
Gates. Gates seems like that type.
Mm,
Also, you
mm.
know what I mean?
I
See,
see
here's
where
the
you're
thing,
going.
man. Like, okay, so let's say he's not, right? And this might even be the more probable thing. Like, doesn't it, this seems really plausible. It's like him and Epstein are partying, and he takes some girl back to his room. Trump does. And then she's on the younger side, but he doesn't really think about it, thinks she's legal, and then finds out she's 16. Now that's still disgusting, right? But that's like a different thing than being like a fucking like intentional pedophile. You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah, it's
does
also
that
like
does
something
that
that
seem
would stop
out
him
of
from
the
being
realm of
president.
possibility for Trump? You know what I mean? Like that seems like right up his alley. You know what I mean? I don't know. Or
Yeah,
it could
no, I
be,
mean,
like I
yeah,
said, it could be somebody, he was cooking his books and funnel and laundering money for him. You know what I mean? Like it could be any of those things. It just seems like he's flailing so hard and has gotten so defensive about it that it seems like it's something worse. You know what I mean?
I think it's like there's a lot more possibilities there too. I mean, I really do. I think there could be the connections just could be like I don't know why Trump leaned in or his campaign leaned in so hard on the conspiracy theory aspect of this. And I mean, I'm talking about the meta, like I'm saying earlier, the meta story about like the discourse around, to boost his campaign. Oh, yeah, we're going to release the list, and they did those photo ops with the binders to say the Epstein files on it, and it's ridiculous shit they did. They stunts they pulled. Connected with their campaign, to become president, which campaigns are always foolish, but this is it is pretty wild. And then there was nothing there apparently. And there's no list. And they're like, yeah, they're probably saying the list is on my desk. And then they're like, what list? Which is,
So,
I think
hey,
people
so
are
what
going to
about
probably ask,
this?
where's the list in that case? But
Okay,
regardless,
let me put you a potential. This is just me thinking about this in the past few days. So let's say Trump thinks he's good, right? He knows Epstein. He knows everybody knows that he knew Epstein for 15 years or whatever the thing, but he thinks he's clean. And then he goes into the list and it's got information about like what I just said, where 20 years ago, him and Epstein were at a party with a bunch of girls or whatever the thing, and he cheated on his wife back then. And look, everybody knows he's cheated on every wife he's ever had, right? this is not news. So alone wouldn't be something he'd be worried about. But in this information that the DOJ has, Epstein had information because they have all of Epstein's video recordings. All of his properties were wired for video and sound in every room, including the bathrooms. Okay. They pulled tote after box of CDs of all the recordings of that. Okay. They showed pictures of it coming out of his house. So
this is the really creepy stuff right here.
Yeah, seriously, he was definitely like running an op. So
it's not just the trafficking. I mean, it's this aspect of it right here. Because like, to what end is always the question. To what end? I mean, yeah, he likes girls. I mean, that's easily handled. But it's like, if we're talking about an entire operation, it's like, to what end? Well, that tells you something right there.
Well, there was definitely reporting at the time when they were bringing all that data out of his house that the DVDs were labeled this person and this person. It wasn't just him with other girls. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was recording other people doing stuff with girls in his house. Like, that was the reporting at the time anyway. So, all right, back to my thing. So, like, let's say Trump thinks he's clean, right? And then he's got access to all the files now. And he finds out pretty recently that 20 years ago, when he was partying with Epstein, that Epstein knew that one of those girls was underage, and he didn't. Let's say he didn't know about that till just now. Do you know what I'm saying? That would explain the because he was feeding into this before that. That would explain the really sudden flip. Like, holy shit, I have to cover this up now, otherwise I'm implicating myself. Do you know what I'm saying?
Or it could be something. It could be. I mean, yeah, we're trying to see what changed, but it could be that there is now evidence. There's something with such wide implications for, like, I don't know, the establishment, or a large group of people, or some people that are connected to Trump, or some people that have leverage over Trump, or there's some sort of wider implications that Trump can't stand or allow, or it's made aware that, like, we won't allow this. There's some really wild implications that could come downstream of like this evidence, all this evidence. So let's say evidence that's yet to be released, or information or media that's yet to be released, being released. There's all sorts of things, and it doesn't have to even necessarily like implicate Trump directly, like he did something. I mean, there could be some, I don't know, but I just feel like there's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, his son-in-law is Bibi Netanyahu's godson. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it could be Kushner. Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, there's probably stuff that Trump had. I mean, Trump doesn't know what's Trump. So it's not like Trump knew when he started, having his like campaign surrogates and maybe himself talk about this guy, talk about this stuff on the campaign trail, to feed into this, the kind of, discourse that happens on social media around Jeffrey Epstein and on podcasts and whatnot. It's not like he knew what was in all of these files, or yet to be released files, or yet to be released files. I doubt he really gives a shit, to be honest with you, about this. Trump seems like the last person to look into conspiracy theories at all, or care.
I don't know. I don't know. He's always been sort of adjacent to conspiracy stuff. Like, he was big into Obama birth certificate stuff back in the day. You know what I mean?
Maybe, but that was I don't know. That was goofy, but right. I get it. I get what you're saying. That is true. That's a good point. But I don't know.
He went on Alex Jones, dude. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, he went on Alex Jones like before the 2016 stuff. He was on Alex Jones a bunch.
Okay.
So, like, he's been adjacent, and he's made like,
okay, wow.
Dog whistle is kind of like a loaded term, but I mean this literally. He's made like comments about conspiracies before that would lead you to believe that he was like a conspiracy guy.
And honestly, as a guy doing the populist thing, I mean, there are widely believed conspiracies out there in populist land.
Now, let me just say, I don't necessarily believe what we've just been talking about. Like, I'm just trying to lay out a potential other plausible scenario. I think he's been in on it the whole time. That's actually my gut instinct about, like, considering how he governed last time. I think he was always going to cover up the Epstein thing, and I think he was kind of always in on it. And he just sort of let people believe a certain thing and let a lot of other people speak for him. And he was always going to cover it up. And I think he just sort of like ham-fistedly did that this time. Do you know what I'm saying?
Ham-fisted is a good
Like,
point. I mean, I'll just say this: like, I don't think so. I don't think there was ever like binders that were sitting on the attorney general's desk. I don't think any of that shit was real. That was just theatrics they were doing for the campaign. Then they were just going to drop it and move on to something else. And now people, and then they just pushed it too far. And now people are freaking out. I don't think there is a list that they compiled because they didn't bother compiling anything because I think they just did it to get him to boost his poll numbers with a certain demographic that might really care about that stuff, that actually might really look into this stuff, that listens to those podcasts or reads that book, for example. That would be, we're talking about a demographic. Let's say we define that as a demographic. We're talking about a demographic that's going to nearly like 98% vote for Donald Trump.
well,
You know what I mean?
So no, it's everybody from the MAGA base all the way to a bunch of independents, a lot of whom probably voted for Trump or were semi-sympathetic to Trump.
Especially in 2024.
The Epstein thing is a wide demographic, dude. A wide demographic. So the poll numbers came out about.
Okay, let me run this by you. 2024 election, the one he won by a good margin. Like anybody who's cares about the Epstein thing, not anyone, but we're talking 80+%. Probably not even counting, like I would say, even counting people that didn't vote or voted for another candidate. I would say at least 80% of them went to the polls and voted for Donald Trump. He had crazy numbers, so it's not that hard. It's not that hard to believe in this particular case. I do.
Yes, but not
this election where he won by a good
like
margin. I don't think they voted for Kamala Harris because they wanted because they believe maybe in more social democratic policies. I think,
but I would say a significant margin of a significant plurality of that are not hardcore MAGA people. Do you know what I'm saying?
Not right wing, not Republican, and not hardcore MAGA.
Right, sort of independent. The independents for Trump, I would say, are 100% into this Epstein stuff. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So it's not just MAGA dudes that are just going to support him either way. It's also like a significant margin of like independents and even Democrats that are into this Epstein thing. So I
just don't picture anybody that's into the Epstein thing voting for Kamala Harris. I mean, it's just
no, that's probably true.
I don't want to use the term blue pill. That's so dumb to use. That's so overwrought and so just
no. They would have either voted for Stein or Trump,
or not voted. Obviously, that's big. If that's
right,
possible,
or not voted.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
but I tend to believe that I don't think Trump was ever an outsider. Like he's been involved in these circles for a very, very long time. You know what I mean? And he had access to whatever these files were last time he was president. Whether he looked at them or not, who knows? You know what I mean? So bottom line is like, I think he was always going to cover this up. I think he just didn't realize, he thought more people would just go along with it than are. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he thought, like he made the comment years ago that it's like, he's like, I could shoot somebody in the middle of Times Square and they'd still vote for me. And I think he overestimated how loyal people are to him. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people voted for him because he said he was going to do certain things. And now that he's not doing those things, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it's really coming out.
He was always going to support Israel. He did last time. He was the best president Israel's ever had. You know what I mean? Like last time. So like he was always going to do that. You don't need to blackmail that guy. Oh, and that leads me to this other thing, unless you got something else on that.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So another comment people make about this is like, okay, well, show me like one person that didn't support Israel that then met Jeffrey Epstein. They blackmailed them, and now they support Israel. And it's like, no, you don't understand. Like that doesn't seem to be what the operation was about. You know what I mean? Like they were.
I have seen this pointed out before recently
Right.
too.
That's
That
not what the operation
you don't
was.
have to
Yeah.
blackmail freaking I keep forgetting Alan Dershowitz to support
Or
Israel.
Ehud
So
Barak, the
it's
former prime
questionable
minister of
whether
Israel. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like the
it's
former.
questionable whether it's that at all because it
No,
seems a little
it kind of
unnecessary.
it kind of seems like finding people that are somewhat sympathetic or supportive of Israel, and then funneling. Like he was going after a lot of scientists and tech guys and finance guys.
So I've heard.
So so how does Israel fight wars? It's a lot of tech, right? It's a lot of software. It's a lot of science. It's a lot of that kind of shit, right? So it seemed like he was mostly his goal was to funnel money, technology, science and technology and money to basically black budgets and shit like that. Um, and actually, there was a lot of arms dealing. Like he was associated with a lot of arms sales, so he was probably facilitating money transactions for like arms dealers and stuff too. So it seemed like a lot of that stuff. And how do you get that done, that sort of thing done? Well, you use leverage when you have to, and sometimes maybe that's blackmail, but sometimes that's just giving somebody a boatload of money. You know what I mean? Or whatever it is. So it seemed like it wasn't about like we're going to get this person that doesn't support Israel to support Israel. No, that's not the thing. It's finding people that are involved in certain fields that have resources that you need, such as tech, medicine, fucking science, money, all of these things, and just funneling it into intelligence agencies. A lot of Mossad. Look like also MI6 and the CIA as well. Like it's not like he was probably very loyal to Israel. He went there the first time he got arrested because that's where he did his plea deal. He was in Israel when he was doing that, and
That's no surprise there, but yeah,
Israel has a long history of hiding uh, pedophiles there, high level pedophiles there. So
indeed.
um, that's where he did his plea deal, was in Israel. So he was definitely favorable to Israel, but it seemed like he was doing it for a lot of a number of intelligence agencies, not China or Russia or anything like that, but the five, what they call the Five Eyes, the Western intelligence.
Yeah, of course. Which is, by the
So
way, what
supposedly, him, Robert Maxwell, which is Ghislaine Maxwell's father, speaking of Russia, facilitated stealing secrets from the U.S., giving them to Israel, and then facilitated Israel's sale of those secrets to the Soviet Union during the Cold War. That's apparently on the record, just for the so. There's a lot of deep dirt here. You know what I mean?
do you know
So
when that was, by the way?
that was like in the 80s, early 80s.
Okay. Okay.
So that's not, people have a cartoon version of what this looks like, and it's not like, oh, I have a picture of you with this underage girl, so now you're going to support Israel in the fucking Congress or whatever. It's like, okay, maybe that happens sometimes. I'm not saying that never happens, but that didn't seem like the primary focus of what he was doing.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. The cartoonish versions of this that people are sort of paint when they look at this, and I get it. Like when you have like known and unknown, to crib Dick Cheney, known and unknown unknowns, when you have to use a little bit of fuzzy descriptions, vagueness, use your imagination, think about possibilities, which you always do in this kind of case. Like it's a lot easier to pay a very simple, like a children's book, a very straightforward, kind of narrative that's salacious. And when I was saying prurient, also prurient, salacious, all this stuff, but it does miss, and I don't think it's like some conspiracy to divert away from the bigger story. I just think people like prurient and salacious things. That's largely what it is. But I think the implications are so much bigger than the trafficking aspect, which was a variety of ages and a variety of things were going on. There's probably a variety of substances involved. There's probably a variety of fetishes involved. Maybe there's a wide variety of things because this happened over the course of decades, from what I understand. And I'm sure a lot of it was either finance, and if you're that connected is deeply connected as Jeffrey Epstein seemed to be in the world of finance and business, um, then there that comes that along with that is comes leverage and like, having leverage over people, obtaining things that you may not be able to attain elsewhere or otherwise, to certainly have some certain kind of relationship with the law or the authorities. I mean, what I'm trying to say is with finance and the monetary, and these things cost lots of money. Things on the black market or things that you don't want to be seen or known, that tend to cost money, and having leverage on people, either directly or indirectly, involves usually large sums of money. So I think it all sort of adds up, makes sense. Don't Still not clear exactly where all his money and assets come from, but vaguely in finance, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. There's no record for a lot of it for sure.
Yeah, and from what I understand, I don't want to go into, like, again, we don't want to go into too much into the details exactly, but I mean, he did basically have this sort of unusually meteoric rise and sort of vague resume, I think, in the financial world, from what I understand, as far as his early career.
Well, here, let's go into that a little bit because that leads me in. I got two other things that I want to mention, and then we can wrap up on this bit. But
Okay.
so part of his meteoric rise was this guy Donald Barr, and Donald Barr was former CIA, or no, excuse me, OSS, the precursor to the CIA. Donald Barr got him a job at the Dalton School, which is a really prestigious school that like the kids of CEOs and Saudi royals and whatever go to. He had no Epstein had no college degree. They had him teaching math there. Donald Barr got him the job. Donald Barr wrote a book. This is crazy, about an alien race who kept children as sex slaves. Uh, he wrote several science fiction. It was a science fiction novel. He wrote several of them. One of them being a book that an alien race of oligarchs that keep children as sex slaves. That's weird. He got him that job. Epstein gets fired from that job for, they say it was poor performance, but there was reports of him hitting on underage girls there. So then Donald Barr gets him a job with his friend at Bear Stearns, and that's where the sort of the meteoric rise starts. Well, who's Donald Barr? You might recognize the last name Barr. He is the father of Bill Barr, which was Trump's AG, who oversaw the arrest and death of Epstein, and was also a former CIA, who was also the liaison to the church committee for the CIA. That was Bill Barr, and Trump put him in his cabinet. There's a number of Epstein associates that Trump has put in his cabinet, both last time and this time, and including Alex Acosta, who is the guy that gave Jeffrey Epstein his sweetheart deal the last time, where he was basically, he went to, they let him plead to 18 months to go to jail, and he was on work release 12 hours a day, and they let him have his own wing of the jail and gave him private security. He was allowed to hire his own private security for the jail the first time around, back in, I think that was 2009 or whatever. That was Alex Acosta, who said that he was told to leave this guy alone because he was intelligence. That's Alex
Yep.
Acosta. Trump hired him as his labor secretary. And recently, when Trump's been making, I can't remember this guy's name, but recently, you can Google this. When Trump's making these announcements about Epstein, a lot of them, there's this guy who keeps showing up in the background, and I can't remember his name. Bill, is that fucking Horowitz? I can't remember his name at the moment. He also survived 9/11 because he wasn't at the building that day, by the way.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, he was the guy that's been in this picture was Epstein's friend and neighbor in Manhattan. And Jeffrey Epstein had the most expensive private residence in Manhattan, gifted to him by Les Wexner, gave it to him for free, and it was a $60 million house. Gave it to him for free, and this guy was his friend and neighbor, and he's in Trump's cabinet. I can't remember his goddamn name at the moment, and I can't Google it right now because I'm on my phone recording. But
Do you know what he does?
I can't remember what he does. He's some kind of staffer or whatever the thing. You know what I mean? But
Okay, okay.
if you Google Epstein's neighbor, Trump cabinet, it'll come up, and he's been in like 3 out of like 4 of these. You know what I mean? Like he's been in like 3 of these announced that when Trump's talking about Epstein, he's in the picture behind him. So there's a fellow that I listen to sometimes. His name is Sagar and Jetty. He's on Breaking Points, and I saw an interview with him about Epstein.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. But actually, I heard him on Red Scare of all things. But yeah, I've heard nothing but good things from
He's good on
the
Epstein
man Dave
and,
Smith and whatnot. He's a
and
cool guy.
war. Yeah, I don't agree with him on a lot.
I don't agree
but
with him.
He's good on war and Epstein.
He's surprisingly good on some things. Yeah.
So he made this point about Trump, and he says, "Listen, Trump's not saying all this to like convince us. He's signaling."
By the way, Howard. Before we completely lose thought,
Howard Lutnick.
Howard
There
Lutnick.
it is. Howard Lutnick. Yeah, that's the guy. He was supposed to be in the building at 9/11 in the World Trade Center, and surprisingly, he wasn't there that day. He just had he had a little cold, you know. And anyway, yeah, Howard Lutnick. Jeffrey Epstein's friend and neighbor. I think he's his crypto czar, if I remember correctly. Okay. Now that it's coming back to me now. Anyway, what was I just saying? Oh, Sagar and Jetty, he makes this point, and I think this is accurate. Trump's doing all this not because he feels the need to convince us. This cover up is not to convince us of anything. He doesn't think anybody's going to believe it. What he's doing is signaling to various power brokers that I am going to cover this for you. Please don't kill me. You know what I mean? Like that's what he thinks. This is a message to various power factions in Washington.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, that he's not going to burn them. And Sagar goes on to say that he's like, I think Trump thinks they tried to kill him in Pennsylvania. And so now he's signaling to them that, look, just leave me alone. I'm not gonna really upset the apple cart here. You know what I mean? Which maybe that seems plausible to me. So anyway, okay, so he's got a bunch of guys this time and last time, Jeffrey Epstein's associates in his cabinet. Like this guy was, I mean, he's always deep into the swamp. Okay, like this guy was never who people thought he was. He just wasn't, man. And you look at it as like choices in terms of foreign policy in Israel this time around, and it's like, man, it's never been more apparent. So 2 more things about Epstein, and then we can wrap. The Epstein didn't kill himself thing. I think it's entirely plausible that Epstein killed himself. But here's the thing, and this is one. There's always like 2 or 3 options people were talking about at the time. And it was 1, Epstein killed himself. 2, Epstein was murdered. 3, Epstein is still alive, and they moved him out, and they've got him in hiding in Israel or something. There's another option, and the other option is, and there's plenty of precedent for this in terms of the FBI and in intelligence agencies. The most famous being Martin Luther King, but they could have went to him and been like, dude, we can make this so bad for you. We can release so much shit for you. We can hurt a lot of your friends. We can kill a lot of the people that you care about unless you do the right thing here and do it yourself. So they could have just threatened him into killing himself. and that's not something I hear a lot of people talk about. But they did
Yeah,
this.
well,
They tried to do
I,
this to Martin Luther King. They
someone I
tried to
knew in real life
blackmail him
pointed
into
out.
suicide.
Well, they said that him being in the wing there, like it should be impossible to this it should be completely locked down and impossible for him to go ahead and kill himself. Let's say like, hey, yeah, you're actually going to probably go to prison for the rest of your life in this case. So let's say that's the case. Um,
That's
so
actually
yeah,
not
he's
true.
what?
Like there was a good chance. Like his lawyers thought they could. He'd already gotten a sweet plea deal once. His lawyers thought that they could beat this on appeal, no problem. Like
Yeah,
he had just hired a whole new lawyer team. Like they thought they were gonna be fine. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
I don't know. There
he
was like
didn't.
50 million people in the country that wanted to see him in prison for the rest of his life. So it might have been, which I know it doesn't have exactly have legal ramifications, but I don't know. I don't know if it was looking too good for him.
Yeah, I mean, they thought they were gonna. I mean, they. Who knows? Who knows what really happened? I don't actually know what really happened. Maybe he was murdered. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe they threatened him into suicide. Maybe he, whatever. I don't know for sure, but there was a lot of indication that he was optimistic about beating the case, according to his lawyers and other people around him, uh, or at least getting a sweetheart deal again. So, I mean, you got to remember, like, who cares what 50 million people want? He's definitely had a lot of dirt on a lot of people. So it was entirely within the realm of possibility that they would give him another sweetheart deal just so they could seal it and everything got kept quiet about who was involved. You know what I'm saying? So I, I mean, honestly, I'm on the fence. Like I don't, both seem like equally plausible to me. Um, I don't necessarily think that he just, and honestly, the second autopsy report says it's inconsistent with, uh, inconsistent. It's more the broken bones in his neck are more consistent with a strangling than a hanging. But who knows? We'll never really know the answer to that, and it doesn't really matter. But the other option I don't hear a lot of people talk about is like they literally could have just threatened whoever and got him to kill himself also. And they tried to do that to Martin Luther King. They blackmailed Martin Luther King, um, and told him he should do the right thing and kill himself. And King actually didn't. And then they assassinated him after that. But um, there's a lot of this has happened a lot where they threaten people and try to get them to commit suicide. So shit, there was one more thing I wanted to go over too, and now I can't fucking remember. Shit. Oh, I don't remember what it was, but um, I will say
I got
there's
one
one good
question
thing.
for you. I
Sure.
got a question for you. Yeah, what do you think to make of again? Everybody is focused on the girls, the trafficking, this and that. I'm glad that we haven't focused too much on that topic because again, I think it's there's so much focus on the prurient and the salacious. And when you're talking about an aspect of something, why talk about the aspect when you can get to sort of more of the root? And I think that separates us from the larger. It separates the 20% from the larger 80% that more looks at the salacious aspect of it. I'm not saying that it's not wrong; it's salacious. But what do you think about so many of his supposed victims? Not all of which were necessarily underage during some or all of the time, but that's not what trafficking necessarily entails, and it is creepy, and it is weird, and there is a lot of coercion, recruitment. Kind of down the line, whatever her name is, Maxwell recruits the girl, and she recruits her friends, and they're flying them out to islands, and if they're not 17, if they're 18, it's still whatever. Um, but there are a lot of victims that got millions of dollars in settlement funds, and a lot of them, some of them have come out to be notoriously unreliable in their these sort of reports and narrations. I mean, but the one that famously was the main accuser, that most high profile accuser that killed herself. I'm not even going to go into her. I do remember her name is, but not really important. But she I think either it was disproven or recanted large portions of what she claimed. There was another high-profile one that got millions of dollars in settlement money that went on Alex Jones and said she saw, I think, something like she saw Epstein turn into a reptile and fly around the room or something. Like it's some crazy stuff. Like honestly, and seems a lot of the claims that were made by the supposed accusers were like wildly unreliable.
So it goes like this, right? So number one, I think there's a lot of victims that have never been heard from, and
Likely.
yeah, that's very likely. Some of them might have been killed. Uh, some of them you just might have never came forward. I think the amount of victims that have come forward is probably a small fraction. Uh, one of the Trump officials said there's tapes of thousands of victims. They have evidence of thousands of victims, and then it was never talked about again, and now it's being covered up. So take that for what it's worth. Um, there was a lot of money in the Epstein Victims Fund, and I'm sure that there was probably a non-zero number of people that went and just completely made it up because there there wasn't any proof required. You just had to say you were a victim. So there's probably like a non-zero amount of people that did that. But for the rest of them, though, you have to consider something like it's hard to talk about, and this is offensive. The people they were going after were very troubled to begin with. Okay, there are a lot of people from like broken homes with really fucked up childhoods. um, that's the kind of people that you can get to do things like that, right?
Yeah.
And
No, I
and
think that's.
it was a
Oh
lot of
God, sorry.
really troubled and messed up girls to begin with, and then you couple like years of abuse on top of that, and some girls' brains are just going to snap. You know what I'm saying? So like the one that was now here's the other side. So you're going to get some that just even after the fact get crazy, or they get famous because they're the victim or whatever the thing, and they embellish or whatever. You know, that's all going to happen too. But in terms of the one girl that recanted her story, like, does it seem out of the realm of possibility that Epstein or an associate of Epstein would threaten a witness? You know what I mean? Like, so she comes out and she says this, you know, these claims or whatever the thing, and then she later recants it. Well, does that mean that she lied in the first place, or does that mean that somebody threatened her? Who knows? You don't know. But I do know that there were several uh, reporters at the time when he was first arrested that received a lot of threats, including like headless cats on their front steps and stuff, that were threatened at the time. So I don't think they're out of, you know, all of the stuff that Epstein and his associates have done. I don't think they're, you know, like above witness, you know, threatening witnesses as well. You know what I mean? So
Also, I mean, logically
who
speaking,
knows what the truth is with that? You know, like I don't know.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But logically speaking, also they did receive the millions of dollars of settlement money, which again, I mean, so they received the money. They can say what they want after that. I mean, that could even be that could be a coercion right there.
Right. So, you know, who knows what the, you know, the actual facts are, but it's pretty complicated. You know what I mean? And in terms of like all right, so imagine you're a troubled girl to begin with. You had a fucked up childhood. Maybe you're abused to start with. Excuse me. And then you get abused by Epstein and his friends for like a decade, right? And then you come forward and you go through all this court case and all these questions and whatever, and then you find yourself in like an ecosystem of people who want to interview you, and that ecosystem of people who want to interview you all of a sudden, okay, so you're already troubled, you're probably already a little messed up in the head, right? And now this ecosystem is into all sorts of wild shit. Jones and David Icke and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So you find yourself in a community that actually supports you for once, and it almost becomes like a cult for you, and you start believing all kinds of stuff, and then you start getting like weird false memories or whatever. Excuse me. So like I could see stuff like that happening too. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. Epstein's still to blame for that. You know what I mean? Like this happens a lot actually with abuse victims. Is like the abuser. So because they're abused, they have a really troubled life. They get into drugs and they do a lot of fucked up shit. And it's because they have a lot of mental illness from the abuse, right? But then the abuser points to those behaviors as like, see, you can't trust her or him or whatever it is. Look at all the crazy shit they do. But they're doing a lot of this crazy shit because you abused them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Not to
so
mention the background that led to the chicken or the egg on that one, obviously. But not to mention the
exactly. So
background of
it's really
getting to the
hard to like
point where at 16,
point
at 16,
fingers,
17,
you know?
18, 19 years old, you're flying out to an island to give massages or whatever. I mean, but chicken or the egg, obviously, no.
Right. Um, but yeah, it's really hard for me to like point any fingers in that direction, like, I don't know. But I think that's all there is one thing I'm forgetting and I can't remember it now, but I think that's about all we got on that. But I will say there's one good thing, and that's that a lot of people are realizing that there is no political solution and no one is coming to save us, and we have to do it ourselves. And
Yeah.
overall, I think this is a good thing. And I think a lot of even Trump's, some of his base and a lot of people that like sort of supported him are really turning their back on him on this. So
Yeah.
I think
I
that's a
mean,
good thing overall.
it's kind of a shitty thing to, like I said, because of the like conspiracy and salacious aspect, and because like I don't know, because I think honestly, if it was about the deep intelligence connections and the story that you went into, look, like we said, we're among the top 20% of the elite 20% that really cares to go deep into this kind of thing. Yeah, but the standard depth at which people are going into this and the implications they're drawing from this, it's it's not the most glamorous way to get to the effect that you're mentioning. But I guess it's the way that does get the most eyeballs on it from the public, which is notoriously not super interested in like nuance and complex webs of connections between various shiny objects left, right, up, and down. You know what I mean? It is what it is.
Well, I would say like 20 years ago, only weirdos like me were into learning about conspiracies like Epstein or Epstein specifically. That's not the case. Everybody knows about this now.
I will
But
attest. I will
most people
attest. It is
most
linked
people
into
have a
real
very
life IRL.
what's that?
I will attest that it is thoroughly linked into real life to the IRL world.
Yeah. And
Completely.
I would say like most people have like like a very basic cursory. Not a lot of people have done like a deep dive on it, but a lot of people have a very like basic cursory understanding of that there was some shady shit involving Epstein and a lot of politicians and financial elites. They have that basic understanding, and now it's clear. It's very clear and very obvious that Trump is covering it up now. So like people, even your average normie has that uh perception of this. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. There's a lot of like MAGA loyalists who will do whatever he says, and support him. That's true, but that's not true I saw a poll that said 94% of people polled disapprove of how he's handling the Epstein. No, it's 96. 4% approved of how he's handling the Epstein thing.
And the fact that you can even like run that poll, I mean, just shows I mean, I'm sure obviously it was. If have you heard of it, the Epstein thing? But we're talking about the reach of this thing is beyond any practically beyond any conspiracy theory, short of like who shot Kennedy. I mean, we're
Right.
talking almost that level of like conspiracy recognition, topic recognition, or something. It's wild.
Exactly. Yep. This is the Epstein of our, or the JFK of our time for sure. So, well, let's wrap that there, and we can we can go more into this if we want to, but like I said, there's tons of information out there on this. If you're interested in such things, there's enough evidence and information. A lot of it's circumstantial, but man, it's like such a like huge mountain of circumstantial evidence that it really starts to paint a picture. And like it's not, a lot of it's not like evidence enough to be like proven, but it's evidence to enough to be like, what the fuck, like there's something weird here, like this really seems like intelligence, you know what I mean? So, but all
I
that
mean, that's
information is
the
out there, and a lot of people have done huge deep dives. So it's not
that's the
something
world of
we need to
legitimate
read it.
conspiracy theory. But that
Yeah,
is the nature of the world of legitimate conspiracy theory. Like if conspirators do their job, there's not going to be the level of evidence to, like, for example, a legal preponderance of evidence or anything like that. That's the nature of conspiracy. That's what
well,
conspirators
that's
do.
also the nature of
They
intelligence.
hide. Yes, they hide things. That's what a conspiracy is. It's you
Right.
when you plan to do something in secret. So if you're at all competent in that, I mean, it's hard to, you know, permanently keep something out of the eye of, the public, or of record of like being recorded as historic fact. But the details, absolutely.
Right. Well, let's wrap this one here, and unless you had anything else, um, I think I got
No, it
all
was
the
a good
points across.
discussion.
Yeah. It's just a lot of things. I hear a lot of people talk about this, and it's like there's a couple points that I'm like, no, it's. I had to sort of correct the record on, I don't know, but
Yeah, and I
for
learned
what
a
it's
lot
worth.
too as well. Like I said, I haven't done the deep dives that you have, so I mean, I actually learned a lot of stuff to fill in the gaps. I had a very good idea what we're talking about, but I certainly didn't have a lot of information within those gaps.
Right. All right. Well, everybody, be excellent to each other, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Ciao. Hey, Slick, I'm going to edit this out, but do you still want to go ahead and do the second part? I know it's getting kind of late.
Um, yeah,
We
but
could always
let's
just do
keep
this
it.
next Saturday, or but it's up to you. How short do you want to keep this?
No, let's do that next Saturday. It is like almost 9 now. That
It's
went
freaking
that went a
late.
little longer than I thought it would, but
Yeah, I'm glad it did too. I mean, I like that. I actually really like that topic, but yeah,
basically, we'll do a Patreon next Saturday. It won't be a very long one. Like the stuff I'm going to talk about is like half hour, 45 minutes.
okay. Yeah,
I
I mean, I,
basically
I like
basically
talk.
it's like I'll give you an example. If like sure get into Bitcoin, sure get it buy gold, but also if like you produce your own eggs, you become immune to inflation, at least on eggs. You know what I'm saying? So like I want to go over stuff like that, and then I sort of have an investment opportunity for some folks that I kind of want to get into. So that'll be a patrons only
Cool,
thing. Yeah.
cool. Okay, I see why.
Uh,
Okay, that's cool. All right, yeah, that's exciting. Yeah, I mean, shit, I don't want to put the damper on everything. It's late though. I mean, I don't know.
it is late, and I'm gonna
I
yeah,
mean, this
and
wasn't
I'm
the worst thing in the world. I can do another one of these, especially if it's shorter. Just
yeah,
that's
it's a
basically
little
what my
rough,
intent
but at
was.
least tomorrow's Sunday for me. I'm off. I'll just be
I,
working
I
around the
figured.
farm here. So
So I figured that's why you didn't want to do it on Sunday night,
right.
because obviously that's the best for me. But I totally get it. Real quick. So just as a heads up, big caveat. When I was saying this before, we can always schedule to do these things on Saturday night. I don't like have plans on Saturday night at work. It's actually like the most tiring day of my week, almost always. So I'm usually not going to want to do anything Saturday night, but there's always like with my job, there's always like a 10% chance I'm gonna have to cancel. So
Yeah, so we can. So well, let's tentatively plan on next Saturday, and then if
we
we
can always
gotta,
fall back. We can always fall
yeah,
back on the Sunday, following Sunday at 6, like basically like I said. But
yeah,
there's always a
we could do
10%
that,
chance
but
that I'm gonna have to cancel.
we'd have to keep it super short. Like I go to bed at 8 to get up at 4. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
so,
damn.
and also
Let's
like my
do
daughter
45
goes to
then.
bed at 6, so I like put her to bed till 6:30 or whatever, so that I've got maybe an hour before I go to bed. You know what I'm saying? Like so,
Yeah.
um, so we can, but this Patreon thing will be a short episode anyway. So like,
Okay.
if you can't do Saturday, we can probably do Sunday.
As a fallback, but I'll just plan on
Right.
Saturday. I can come straight home. That's fine with me. I got some food here and I gotta pray and whatnot. But like, that's
Right.
fine. I didn't ever. I
And it
never cut
won't
the
be
light
a
on. It
long
got
one
dark.
anyway.
It
So
got dark on me. I never cut the light on in here, so it got dark on me. It's like I'm thinking to myself like, oh, it's getting pretty late. I'm sure it
yeah,
is for you. Well, you're an
yeah. No,
hour. Are you an
I'm tired,
hour?
and
I mean, you're
the
effectively.
caffeine wore off. So
Oh yeah.
yeah. All right, man. Well, let's plan on that.
Okay. Sounds good. Sounds good. And I'll have this one. I'll try to get this one edited on Thursday. I mean, I had some weird schedules for a while, but Thursdays, if we record Saturday, for example, I should be able to have it edited on Thursday.
All right. Well, also take a peek at those audiobook files or whatever the thing.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we'll do.
See you, brother.
All right, later, man.
All right,
Peace.
peace.